Hello and welcome to the next edition of the BriefingsDirect Voice of the Customer podcast series. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host and moderator for this ongoing discussion on digital transformation success stories. Our next partnerships innovation discussion explores how the best of startup culture and innovation can be married to the global reach, maturity, and the solutions perspective of a major IT provider. Stay with us now as we unpack the budding relationship between an upstart in the data management space, Cohesity, and venerable global IT provider, Hewlett Packard Enterprise. To learn more about the latest in total storage efficiency strategies and HPE's Pathfinder program, please join me in welcoming our guests. We're here with Rob Salmon. He's President and Chief Operating Officer at Cohesity in San Jose, California. Welcome, Rob.
Thanks for having me, Dana.
We're also here with Paul Glasser, Vice President and Head of the Pathfinder program at Hewlett Packard Enterprise. Welcome, Paul.
Thanks, Dana. Happy to be here.
We're glad you're with us. Paul, let's start with you. What is it about the pace of technology innovation, the nature of startups, and the pace of business today that's making a deep relationship between HPE and Cohesity the right fit for your mutual customers?
That's an interesting question, Dana. I think to start with, the technology ecosystem and the startup ecosystem here in Silicon Valley, California, as well as other tech centers on a global basis, really fuel the fire of innovation. And so the ample funding that's available to startups, the research that's coming out of top-tier universities like Stanford or Carnegie Mellon or MIT out on the East Coast, right, really fuels a lot of interesting ideas, disruptive ideas that lead their way into small startups. And I think the challenge for HPE as a large established tech player is to figure out how to tap into that ecosystem of startups and new disruptive technologies that's coming out of these universities, as well as serial entrepreneurs, and really foster that and embrace that and try and deliver those solutions and technologies to our customers.
And Paul, just for our audience's deeper understanding, describe the Pathfinder thesis and approach. What does it aim to do?
So as I think about Pathfinder, you can think of it at the top level as the venture capital program for HPE, but I subdivide it into three core functions. First is an insights, second is the investments, and third is the solutions function. Really, the insights component is you can think of us as a center of excellence that's keeping a finger on the pulse, if you will, of disruptive innovation in that startup community. So how does the company as a whole interact with the startup community, with the VC community, and really identify and curate the leading technology innovations in companies that we can ultimately deliver to our customers. So insights is the first component. Second component is investments. Fairly straightforward. We act like a venture capital firm taking small equity stakes in some of these startup companies. And then third, solutions. So for the companies that are in our portfolio, we work with them making introductions into the product and technical organizations within HPE, really fostering that dialogue from a product evolution perspective and from a solution perspective, where you intertwine HPE's products and technologies with the startup technology, really trying to create 1 + 1 = 3 to deliver the solution to the customer and really solve the customer's challenge, right, from a digital transformation perspective.
And Paul, how many companies are we talking about here, and how many, say, in a year would you look to be doing and have included in Pathfinder?
We're a very focused program, right? So we align around the strategies for Hewlett Packard Enterprise. And because of that close collaboration with our portfolio companies and the business units, right, we're limited to, I'd call it 8 investments or new portfolio companies on an annual basis. So today, the program is about 4.5 years old, so we have about 24 companies, in the portfolio, and look to add, another 8 over the next 12 months.
Rob, tell us about Cohesity and why it's such a good candidate and partner and success story when it comes to the Pathfinder program.
Sure, Dana. Cohesity is a 5-year-old company focused on data management for about 70 to 80% of all the data in an enterprise today. And like large enterprises, they're trying to figure out what is the next great thing to make them more operationally efficient, get better access to data. Companies like HPE are doing exactly the same thing, looking to figure out how to bring new conversations to their customers and partners. We are a software-defined platform, and the company was founded by Dr. Mohit Aran. Dr. Mohit Aran has spent his entire 20-plus year career working on distributed file systems. He is one of the key architects of the Google file system, co-founder of Nutanix. The hyperconverged movement really was his brainchild. He started Cohesity 5 years ago because he realized there was just a new, better way that he had realized to manage large sets of data, not only in the data protection space, but when we think about file services, test dev, and analytics. So the company has been selling the product for over 2.5 years now. We've been a partner with Paul and the Pathfinder team for over 3 years now, and it's a quite successful partnership between the two companies.
And as I mentioned in my setup, Rob, speed to value is the name of the game. HPE has its own need for speed. You have your need for speed. How is that aligned? How are you able to help each other be faster to market value and to reach your customers?
Well, I look at the partnership between the two companies, and it really is a complementary partnership. What HPE brings to Cohesity is experience and reach. We get a lot of value by working with Paul, his team, and the entire executive team from HPE being able to bring our product and solutions to market. When we think about the combination between the products from HPE and Cohesity, 1 + 1 = 3+. And that's what customers are seeing as well. The largest customers we have in the world running today on Cohesity solutions run on HPE's platform. So they bring credibility to a company of our size in areas of the world and with large customers that we just could not do on our own.
And for that element of speed, is there something about working with HPE that gets you into these markets faster or gets you into an OEM relationship faster? How does the speed impact?
Good question. In fact, we just announced a relationship, an OEM relationship with HPE where they're selling our solutions as of this quarter. And we're really excited about it. Well, I'll give you a great example. I met with one of the largest healthcare providers in the world a year ago. They loved the solution. They loved hearing about it. The question they had was, Rob, how are you going to handle us? How will you support us? And I said, you're going to let us know, I'm sure. They immediately that evening introduced me to the GM of that account for HPE. We took that question off the table. Everything's been done through HPE. So it's our solution wrapped around the broad support, services, and hardware capabilities of HPE that made a total solution for customers. Because that's ultimately what customers are looking for. They're not just looking for great new innovative solutions. They're looking for how they can roll that out at scale in their environments and be assured it's going to work all the time.
Now, Paul, HPE has had a huge market success in storage over the past several years, on the forefront of flash and on the forefront of bringing intelligence to how storage is managed on a holistic basis. How does the rest of storage, this secondary level, fit into that, and where do you see this market potential?
So I think, two things. One, HPE's strategy in terms of its internal product strategy has been really around the primary storage capability. You mentioned 3PAR and Nimble from a flash capability perspective. That's where we have a lot of our own internal IP today. I think on the secondary storage side, we've looked to partners to round out our portfolio, and we'll continue to do so going forward. And Cohesity has become an important part of that partner portfolio for us as we think about it's not just secondary storage it's about data management, right? And what does that life cycle look like, and how do you get more insights into where your data is and how do you better utilize that? Cohesity and the ecosystem will be an important part of how we think about rounding out our portfolio and addressing what is really a tens of billions of dollar market opportunity for both companies.
All right, Rob, let's dig into that a little bit about that, bringing this not just to a level of storage, but to a total data management and lifecycle value. What do we mean by that? What is it that we can do when we look at data holistically like that across all kinds of data? And what are the drivers in the market, requirements of the market that are making that holistic total approach to data necessary?
So when you look at the sheer size of the data sets that enterprises are dealing with today, there's an enormous data management copy problem. Mm-hmm. You have islands of infrastructure set up for different use cases for secondary data and storage. Oftentimes the end users don't know where to look, and it may be in the wrong place at the wrong time to actually be able to even access it. So data has to be moved. With the platform Cohesity has, we index the data on ingest, and therefore we have Google-like search capabilities across the entire platform, regardless of the use case and how you want to use the data. When we think about the legacy solutions out there, for data protection, for instance, all you can do is just protect the data, but you can't do anything else. You can't glean any insights from that data. Because of our indexing on ingest, we're able to give insights into the data and the metadata, unlike customers and enterprises have ever seen before. So as we think about the opportunity, it's the larger the data sets that are run on the Cohesity platform and solution, the more insight customers can have into their data. And it's not just our own applications. We've recently introduced a marketplace where applications such as Splunk reside and can sit on top of it and access the data that are on the Cohesity platform. So it's about bringing compute, storage, networking, and the applications all together where the data is versus moving data to the compute and to the applications.
Well, it sounds like a solution that's tailor-made for many of the new requirements we're seeing at the edge when it comes to massive amounts of data generated from the Internet of Things and the industrial Internet of Things and the need for getting rapid inference, but without having to move that data necessarily into a warehouse and do traditional analytics. Tell us about why what you're doing and what's happening on the edge and perhaps what HPE is doing at the edge aligns so well.
Yeah, so when you think about not just the edge, but we think about the public clouds as well, the beauty of a next generation solution such as Cohesity that's only been in the market 5 years, we are not redesigning something to take advantage of the edge or take advantage of the public cloud. So we can run a virtual edition of our software at the edge. We can run in public clouds. We have a multi-cloud offering today. So from the edge point all the way to on-premises into public clouds, it's a seamless look at all of your data, and you have access and visibility to all the data without moving the data around.
Well, Paul, it sounds like there's a great fit between Cohesity and HPE in Pathfinder when it comes to the synergy you get between a startup and a large established global vendor. But there's also, to me, another level of alignment here, and it's around your product strategies. So with HPE InfoSight and OneView and OneSphere and trying to help manage that core to edge issue to make just a fit for purpose data centers that can cross multiple clouds as well as a hybrid cloud, this all sounds quite well positioned. So tell me a bit more about maybe the product strategy synergy between HPE and Cohesity.
Dana, I think you kind of got it spot on. Our CEO talks about a strategy for HPE that's edge-centric, cloud-enabled, and data-driven. So as we think about building our infrastructure capabilities, both for the on-premise data centers, but extending out to the edge, we're looking for partners that can help provide that software layer, in this case, the data management capability that extends our product portfolio across that hybrid cloud experience for our customers. So I think as you think about a product strategy for HPE, you really step up to the macro strategy, which is how do we provide a solution for our customers that allows us to span from the edge all the way to the core data center, and we look at partners that have similar capabilities and similar visions, right? And then we work through the OEMs and other type of partnership arrangements to really embed that down into the product portfolio.
Rob, anything to offer additionally on the alignment between Cohesity and HPE, particularly when it comes to the data lifecycle management?
You know, one comment I'd like to make is you've asked Paul a couple of questions regarding the partnership, and the partnership certainly has started with Pathfinder, and we're absolutely thrilled with the partnership we have with HPE's Pathfinder group. But when we did the OEM partnership with HPE, it was actually with the storage business unit. And I think that's really interesting because as you think about competing or not, we are working directly with HPE's storage group. So this is very complementary to what they're doing. We understand our swim lane. They understand our swim lane. And this gives HPE a far broader portfolio into environments where they are looking at what the competitors are doing and saying, we now have a better solution for what we're up to in this particular area by working with the Cohesity. So we're excited not just to work with the Pathfinder group, but we're really excited about the opportunity we have with Antonio's entire team. And we've been welcomed into the family quite well over the last 3 years. And we're just really getting started with the opportunity as we see it today.
Another area that is a big top-of-mind issue for organizations is not just the technology strategy, but the economics of IT and how it's shifted given the cloud and given SaaS and pay on demand. Is there something about what HPE is doing with its GreenLake Flex capacity that is also attractive to Cohesity? And do you see that the reception in your global market might be improved because of the opportunity to finance and acquire and consume IT in a variety of different ways now?
Without question, large enterprises want to buy it the way they want to buy it, whether it be perpetual licenses or a subscription model. They want to dictate how that will be used in their environments. And by working with HPE and GreenLake, we're able to offer the flexible options that are required to win in this market today.
Paul, any thoughts about the economics of consuming IT and how Pathfinder might be attractive to more startups because of that?
I think there's 2 points that Rob touched on, I think, that are important, right? One, working with HPE as a large company, it's a journey, right? And so as a startup, you're looking for that introduction or that leg up that gives you visibility across the organization, and that's what Pathfinder provides. So you start working directly with the Pathfinder organization, but then you have the ability to spread out across HPE. So for Cohesity, it's the OEM with the storage business unit. It is the ability to leverage different consumption models utilizing GreenLake and some of our flexible pricing and flexible consumption offers. And I think to your point, and the second point, Dana, is yes, Amazon has conditioned customers to think about pay per use, right? And so customers are asking for that, and they're looking for flexibility. And as a startup, that sometimes is hard to figure out how to economically provide that capability. And so being able to partner with us to be able to do that utilizing GreenLake or some of our other tools, it really provides them, I think, a leg up in terms of the conversation with customers that makes them trust that the solution will be there and somebody will be there to stand behind it over the coming years.
Okay, great. Before we close out, I'd just like to take a little bit of a peek in the crystal ball for the future. When you think about the alignment between Cohesity and HPE, and when we look at what we anticipate an explosion of activity at the edge, and of course the very rapidly growing public cloud market, there's the sort of gorilla in the room, which is the role of inference and artificial intelligence and bringing more data-driven analytics to more places more rapidly. Any thoughts about where the relationship between HPE and Cohesity will go on a product strategy, and particularly on an artificial intelligence tangent? And I'll start with you, Rob.
Yeah, well, you touched earlier, Dana, on InfoSight, and we're really excited about the opportunity to partner even closer with HPE. That's an incredibly successful product in its own right. The opportunity for us to work close and do some things together around that is exciting. On the Cohesity side, we talk a lot about not just AI, but we talk a lot about machine learning and where we can go, really proactively giving customers insights to not only the data, but also the environment itself. Very predictive. We are working incredibly hard on that right now. And again, I think this is an area that is really just getting started in terms of what we're going to be able to do over a long period of time.
Paul, anything to offer on the AI future?
I think Rob touched on the immediate opportunity for the two companies to work together, which is around InfoSight and marrying our capability in terms of predictability and machine learning around your infrastructure with Cohesity's capability in terms of insights on your data and really trying to figure out creative solutions around that. I think as you extend, again, back to the vision around edge-centric, as you look into the future where applications become more edge-centric and compute is going to move towards the data at the edge, the life cycle of what that data looks like from a data management perspective at the edge and where it ultimately resides is going to become an interesting opportunity, and some of the AI capabilities, right, to provide insight on where the best place is for that computation and for that data to live, I think will be interesting down the road.
Okay, Rob, for other organizations that are startups that might be interested in working with a big vendor like HPE and through a program like Pathfinder, now that you've been doing it for 3 years, now that you've moved up into an OEM relationship, any advice with 20/20 hindsight that you would offer to other startups who are maybe, going down the same road?
Well, I think this notion of using the experience as a startup, you know you're good at something, and it's typically around the technology itself. You have a founder like Mohit Aran, who is absolutely brilliant in his own right in terms of what he's already done in the industry and what we're going to continue to do. But you've got to do all the building around that brilliance and that technology and turn it into a true solution. And again, back to this notion of a solution is at global scale. It's given the support that customers not just want to experience with you, but what they're expecting to experience from the enterprises that support them. You can learn a lot from working with large enterprises. They may not be the ones who are going to tell you exactly how you're going to code your product. You've got that figured out with the brilliance of a Mohit and the engineering team around him. But as we think about getting to scale and scaling the operation in terms of what we're doing, leaning on someone like the Pathfinder Group has helped us an awful lot. Dana, let me just add one more comment on that. Dana, the other great thing about working with the Pathfinder Group is, as Paul touched on earlier, they work with other portfolio companies. They're working with companies that may be in a little different space than we are, but they're seeing the similar challenges we are. How do you grow? How do you open up a market? How do you look at bringing the product to market in different ways? We talked about consumption pricing a little bit earlier and the consumption models. Since they're experiencing that with others and what they've already done at HPE, we can benefit from that experience. So leveraging a large enterprise like an HPE and the Pathfinder Group for what they know and what they're good at has been invaluable to Cohesity.
All right, great. Last question to you, Paul. For those organizations that might want to get involved with Pathfinder, where should they go and what would you guide them to in terms of becoming a potential fit?
So where do they go? That's the easy question. I just point them to HewlettPackardPathfinder.com. You can find information on the program there, contact information, portfolio companies, that type of thing. But I think where I would focus them is we put out a set of perspectives that talk about some of our investment theses, and you can see our areas of interest. So at a high level, again, we look for companies that are aligned to HPE's core strategies, which is going to be around building out the hybrid IT business as well as the intelligent edge. So we have those specific swim lanes that we think about from a strategic perspective. And then second is we're looking for folks who have demonstrated success from a product perspective. And so whether that's a couple initial customer wins and then needing help to scale that business and that opportunity, and they think a partnership with a partner like HPE would be valuable to them, I think those are the types of opportunities that we're looking for.
Well, very good. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. We've been discussing how the best of startup culture and innovation can be married to the global reach, maturity, and solutions perspective of a major IT supplier. And we learned about the increasingly deep and beneficial relationship between an upstart in the data management space, Cohesity, and the venerable IT vendor, HPE. So please join me now in thanking our guests. We've been here with Rob Salmon, President and COO at Cohesity. Thank you so much, Rob.
Thank you, Dana.
And a big thank you to Paul Glasser as well, Vice President and Head of the Pathfinder Program at HPE. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dana. Appreciate your time.
And a big thank you to our audience as well for joining this BriefingsDirect Voice of the Customer Digital Transformation Success Story. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host for this ongoing series of Hewlett Packard Enterprise sponsored interviews. Thanks again for listening. Please pass this along to your IT community and don't forget to come back next time.